What's up, guys? This is Chris Albert from Warrior Soul Apparel. I'm going to take you guys through a little shoulder workout I did recently up here in Redlands. You might notice I haven't been at Metroflex Gym Long Beach much anymore. That's because I moved about an hour north to Redlands, California. It's a lot different up here. I love it though. I'm close to the mountains, closer to the outdoors, but it's still pretty cool. About this workout, I'm currently trying to put on some muscle so that I might be able to compete later on this year. I'm at about 212 pounds. Now that's the heaviest I've ever been, and I'm hovering at about 10 to 12% body fat, which is really good for me because I'm naturally a little guy. This workout has some strength elements and it has some volume elements. And what you're gonna see is that I do a heavy movement followed by a lighter movement, followed by a little bit heavier movement, followed by another lighter movement, and I finish off with some high rep sets. I'll take you through it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, guys, first exercise you're going to see from me here is the seated overhead dumbbell press. A couple of things I want you to notice. One, I'm sitting down and I don't have a pad behind my back. The reason I don't have a pad behind my back is because I tend to rely too much on the pad for strength when I do these. And so if I'm leaning back on a pad, what that does is it gives me an extra center of support. And then what that does is it forces me to push forward rather than pushing upward. I want the dumbbells to go over my head. I don't want them to go in front of my head or anything like that. That's going to put the shoulder in a precarious position, and it's going to be working on muscles that I'm not trying to work on. I want to work on my deltoids. I don't want to work on my upper pecs. So I always recommend doing these without a pad behind your back. As far as sets and reps go, I did about 4 sets, and I worked from 15 reps all the way down to 8 reps with the 80-pound dumbbells, which is pretty good without a pad behind your back. I've done it much heavier with a pad behind my back, but again, I'm not worried about weight and I'm not trying to feed my ego. Next exercise you're going to see is a limited range of motion shoulder side lateral raise, and that is a precision movement. It's working the upper part of the medial deltoid. So I'm working from here to here. Check it out, see how it's done. The beauty of this exercise is that it's a pure isolation movement. You're really focusing on that one part of your deltoid at the top medial deltoid. And so this really helps you to get that poppy look, that three-dimensional look that so many people are trying to get, but eludes so many bodybuilders when they train their shoulders. It's also going to give you a good way of feeling your medial deltoids so you understand what a pump in them feels like. I know a lot of you don't get sore from your shoulder work, and exercises like this really help. But you have to understand that you have to do it correctly, and that means not using a lot of weight, using controlled movement, not rocketing the weight up, and this exercise, because it is limited range of motion, is going to really force you to do that. All right, the next exercise is the regular side lateral raise. And I want to say that I see this done all kinds of ways in the gym. I don't want to make fun of anybody, and I never want to degrade anybody's feelings. But I see so many people doing this in the gym. They're coming up, and their wrists come way above their shoulders. You're not really working your deltoid if you're doing that. Another version I've seen is something like this. They come up, and they go. And if you're doing that, I want you to come with me to EDC because you're probably a really good fucking dancer, but you don't know how to side lateral raise. So please watch how I do this exercise. The elbow always leads and the shoulder is doing the work. The elbow always leads and the shoulder is doing the work. Pretend you're elbowing somebody in the face. Check it out. I want you to watch my elbows. Watch how I'm leading with my elbows, and my elbows are always above my wrists. That's my deltoid doing all of the work there. So when you do these, if you're not doing that and you're forced to do something else with your body because the weight's too heavy, lighten the weight, work the muscle, and grow. Simple as that, guys. Really simple exercise if you master the movement. So try these. They will transform your physique, I promise, if you do them the right way. One of the biggest things going on the internet right now is the question of whether you can get three-dimensional deltoids if you don't use steroids. And while I agree it's going to be a lot harder to get three-dimensional deltoids if you don't use steroids, I don't agree that it's impossible if you're natural. The reason is this: whether you have wide shoulders or skinny shoulders, or your hips are wider than your shoulders, you all have the same muscles in your deltoids. It's simple anatomy. So you have the ability to get three-dimensional deltoids. What's everybody neglecting? Well, rear deltoids. I would get programs sent to me from around the world, from people looking to me to tell them what's wrong with what they're doing. And I'd say that 75% of the shoulder workouts that I see don't include any rear deltoid work. Rear deltoids are so important for how you look from the side and how you look from the back, but they're also important for how you look from the front. Keep in mind this whole part that you see here, that involves my rear deltoid. So if you want an aesthetic physique, you really got to put the work in on your rear delts. Lastly, as far as injuries go, a lot of you are doing so many presses and on your shoulder days and on your chest days. You're working your front shoulder so much. If your front shoulder gets vastly stronger than your rear deltoids, what happens is the rear delt does not do its job in supporting the front shoulder while you're doing the presses. That makes injury so much more likely. The rear delts actually have a huge part in bench pressing and in doing overhead presses. So the lesson is, you want to be aesthetic and you want to be strong and you want 3D delts, do your rear deltoids. This here is one of the coolest rear deltoid machines I've seen. It allows me to lean forward and really get into those rear delts. Now, one of the things you're going to see that I do here is that I pause at the top on a couple of these and I just try to focus on the rear delts. I love this exercise, and again, notice that I'm leading with my elbows. I'm not leading with my fists or my wrists or anything like that. The deltoid is doing all of the work. And again, getting those pauses in there, really doing slow contractions. Because the rear deltoids are hard for a lot of us to feel, you really need to do these types of exercises slow. You need to incorporate some slow work in there so you can actually stimulate the muscle. And yes, I'm crying. I'm going to finish off here with a machine exercise with a lot of repetitions. This is another version of the press. Now, I see a lot of you doing machine presses in a lot of different ways as well. And one of the biggest things I see is that when you come down with a machine press, you bring your elbows way down here and then you push up like this. I don't want you to do that. Keep your elbows underneath the handle, keep your elbows underneath your wrists and press up and down, just as if you were pressing with a barbell. The reason is because if you bring it all the way down here, what's that going to do? That's going to stretch all these tendons out in here and strain that front delt. So I finished off with this exercise, and I did it for around one set. Not one set. Around 3 sets of 20, just to finish it off, tire out the rest of that muscle fiber, and really get some more blood into the muscle. Another thing I want to mention is don't do this too fast. I see a lot of people trying to speed through these and going ballistic on the weight. Do these slow. That's what these machines were meant for. Do the weight slow, feel the muscle doing the work. So I hope you guys enjoyed that workout. Hope you guys learned something. For tons of other information on fitness, tons of other information on philosophy and life and living your best life, check out warriorsoulapparel.com. Check out the blog. I've been doing a lot of work on different writings and videos for all of you. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I love you all. Peace out. Stay strong.